Hey, let's have a look at this. And I put out a tweet this morning, which was like, what the actual fuck with this story about Nicola Willis. But as I've, watched the melee on Twitter since and had a few more thoughts about this, I'm kind of thinking, is this a National Party issue? Or is this something that all parties do? And today, National's just getting criticism for it. Or is it different? And I'll tell you why it might be different, because of the photos they used. And I'll explain that why in a second, because a few people have sent me some images through the day. Actually, lots of people have sent me images through the day. National confirms tax brochure case studies were fictional scenarios. National Party Deputy Leader Nicola Willis has confirmed case studies in election campaign material where people commented on how National's tax policy would affect them were made up. So this is the important part, where people commented on how National's tax policy would affect them were made up. So they were sold as interviews, real people, but they were scenarios. Now, you might argue straight away, well, they haven't done the tax cuts yet. So how can anyone be commenting on how it would affect them? That might be enough. But we'll keep going and have a look at a couple of the other examples. To accompany the launch of the party's new tax plan, National produced a 28-page brochure under a headline, How National's Back Pocket Boost Supports Kiwis, with 7 case studies understood to be real-life people in Aotearoa. Nathan, an 18-year-old school leaver in Whangarei, was photographed in a local cafe where it said he worked 40 hours a week. Meanwhile, Alice was a building apprentice in Christchurch with a photo of her in a hard hat and high-visibility clothing over in Whakatane. Retired couple Bob and Jackie were relaxing at home on their sofa. When questioned by AM show host Ryan Bridge if the images were generated by AI, because remember they had an issue with that a wee while ago, Willis said no, they're real people.
Ooh.
Now, there's an image. There's Nathan, the cafe worker. But after a viewer did a reverse image search on the image of Nathan, it was found out to be a stock image with the caption, Cafe handsome Asian man waitress cashes in order bill register, working happy at coffee shop. Similarly, Bob and Jackie were stock images of an elderly couple with a television remote. The same goes for Alice, the female tradie in Christchurch. As Willis faced an onslaught of questions from media this week on how her tax policy adds up, she was also asked why she claimed the people were real. She then confirmed the images used were actually stock images. Yes, they were stock images, but they were real people, Willis said. When Ryan asked me about this on AM this morning, I thought he was saying these AI generated people, they are photos of real people. But later in the day, Willis changed her position. The scenarios they were talking about, though, and how National's tax plan would affect them were fictional, which didn't come up till later in the day. So originally they either said or they implied that the images were stock, but the stories were real. Later in the day, they said that they were fictional. The stories are characterizations, Willis said. So we are simply choosing to do this is work through examples of how the tax would affect to different households in different circumstances. And then we have taken stock images and put them next to stories. They are scenarios. I think that's probably all we need to do for now.
What a wild ride.
Yeah, but listen, let me just, because this is, and I wonder if it's about the photos, because here is the greens. Jess works in an organic plant nursery, making $55,000 each year. Basically, it's a scenario. Now, I wonder, you can see this is a cartoon. It feels like, and I'm trying not to be biased here, but it feels like the other one based on the photos were sold as real people's stories. But this one based on the artistry are sold as this is a mock-up.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. My bias could be shown, but that's how I wonder. And when Nicola Willis was asked if they were real, then she said yes. A lot of people interpreted that as the stories were real. And whether she was or wasn't, I guess what she's saying now is she was implying that the images are of real people, not AI generated. In other words, they're not computer generated images. They're real people who have been photographed for these stock images. There you go, Joey. Thoughts?
Well, she flubbed that. I mean, I think... I don't know. I think if I saw something like like Nationals pitch or even the Greens pitch that we just saw there, right, is that my brain automatically goes to this is a scenario because they can't know, but this is what we've come up with, this fictional um, Joe Everyman family, and this is how it would affect them, and that's easier to digest than any other way of explaining tax, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
when you have a photo of a real person, then that blurs the line a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
Hey, I mean,
know,
I'm trying to be fair. I can understand what she's saying. I mean, and I can understand, like, hindsight is 2020, right? But the answer to the question, are they real people? What do you mean real? Do you mean, are these real people of a person in a
yeah,
cafe in Whangarei, or are they? But hindsight's 2020. I probably wouldn't have thought of that. If I got asked that story, are these photos of real people? I possibly would have said, yeah, they're real human beings in the photos.
yeah.
It's not computer
I'm
generated.
I'm not. I'm not going to throw her under the bus for that. When there's been so much discussion about AI generated content, right, and they've fallen into that bear trap earlier this year. The question of are these real people? Yeah, of course they are. They're absolutely real pictures of real people. I can understand that her brain went to no, they're not AI, so they're real.
Yeah,
But yeah, that doesn't answer the whole question. And then she kind of bobbles it again, and then obviously someone's gone, you can't say that they're actually real people with real examples because they're not. So she's had to come clean about that. But again, it's not a good look when we are talking about trust. And I mean, they absolutely crucified people uh, yesterday over the
yeah.
same thing.
But see, this is the thing why I'm saying scenarios versus lies versus truth, because hello, Labour Party. Labour removes false
Mm.
advertising over public transport for disabled people. Labour has been caught out claiming National would cut free public transport for disabled people, despite never providing that support in the first place. They never actually, that wasn't available under them. The party has removed an attack ad from social media which warned that National's tax plan cuts free public transport for disabled Kiwis under a banner reading Coalition of Cuts. But total mobility users were not and were never made eligible for free public transport. So, you talk about
Oh, okay.
trust.
Well, that one got me
There you
because
go.
I thought that was so prevalent. People were all talking about it with such confidence. I thought, oh yeah, cool. Well, they're taking the cheap public transport off the kids, so of course they'll take it off disabled people.
Well, but
You know,
maybe again, because I've just said it for Nicola Willis, so I'm being
mm,
fair. They've gone, who are the vulnerable people in society? Well, disabled people are also going, and then someone else has leapt to, and their wheelchairs or their mobility scooters, because they are taking free transport away from disabled people. Because if you're disabled, if you have a disability, you won't be able to ride on the bus for free. However, if you have a mobility scooter or a big chair, that was never free anyway. So again, is it that this is a lie, or has someone got the wrong end of it? Has someone gone, in their head, like it's like that scenario when, that it used to be done in the 70s to show sexism, where,
mm,
someone's in a car accident with their father, and he's a doctor, and they turn up to the hospital, and the surgeon looks down at the child and says, I can't operate on this. They're my son. Who was the person? And because it's his mother. And in the 70s, people would never think the mother could be a surgeon as well as the father could be a surgeon. So maybe someone just didn't think, oh, disabled people can't have, legs.
mm.
Maybe they've all got mobility scooters. And so we're just going to say mobility scooters, although they didn't know. So, how much of this, but also how much of this is just poor form? I mean, pretty amateurish politics from both sides,
No,
really.
absolutely. So I know that probably all the campaign leads and all the marketing people and everyone involved with advertising this campaign for all the parties is currently listening to us right now. Get real close. Fucking do better, all of you. Do better. Like, workshop this shit and make sure you're not deceiving and telling fucking lies or tripping over your own goddamn feet.
I feel like this is Grumpy Man's show today, because you know what else I'm going
Fucking
to say?
is.
And I'm also going to say, fucking do better, voters. Like, honestly, I was annoyed today when I saw something going around the Twitterverse, right? This image, this image was going around the Twitterverse. CTU poll has margin of error of 3.5%. 1,000 people were polled. And there were so many
Hang on.
people going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I always knew it. I knew it would be like this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I looked at that and my bullshit nerve went off. You know, we've all got bullshit nerves. Some people just choose to ignore them. And I went, you know, that's really interesting. I wonder what the situation is. So I actually messaged the person who posted it and I said, can you cite where you've got this from? And of course they couldn't because they just copied it from someone who'd copied it from someone who'd copied it from someone. So what did old Pat do? Old Pat phones the CTU because I'm not wanting to post things that are not correct. Old Pat phones the CTU. And of course the CTU tells us, no, we don't do polling. That's fake. And the CTU media person who phoned me back said, and anything you can do to tell people it's not real, please do it. So I don't think I can make it look much more fake than that, can I, Chewy? So I put it out there. Now, when I say please do better, voters, right, you got taken, right? You got sucked in, right? Fair. People started posting my fake image that you're looking at right now if you're watching onto the other Twitter feeders who had put the other image, and they didn't take their image down. That is when misinformation, you've made a mistake, becomes disinformation. There's now someone who's saying we've spoken to the CTU. The CTU tweeted this out. The CTU tweeted my tweet out. I'll show you. So there you go. There's the CTU, and they so okay. You couldn't have it much more confirmed than this. The CTU has tweeted out my tweet. All right. So that is confirmed. So all the people who chose to leave it up when several other people were tagging them into this tweet of mine have just slipped into that world of disinformation because now you know it's not real and you need to do better. We all need to do better. This is not an attack on the left. This is everybody. Uncle Bob will send you something on Facebook which feels like it's not right. Before you repost it, do a bit of research. Most of the time, the research will take you 2 minutes. Like the first thing I did was Google CTU polls and couldn't find anything anywhere. And that made me go, okay, I'll just phone them. And I phoned them, right? So everyone, all of us, you need to do better. The politicians need to do better. We need to do better. We want to get things right. And when we get things right, then no one can tell us that we're spreading mis and disinformation, shall we?
Here's a wee interesting snapshot, actually, because I thought, I'll jump in and see where things stand and how many of them are still up, right? Here's a poll from the CTU, blah, 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 blah. There's someone admitting that they got tricked.
Good.
Fake poll. Apologies for that. Still, numbers look great. Of course they do. They're fake.
I got this thing from a parallel universe. I wish I lived there.
And then people justifying it. It's an internal poll.
No, they don't do polling.
Yeah, they don't do polling. It's CTU polling their members. No. Come on. It's fake poll. It's just, yeah. We've talked about this a lot of like that confirmation bias. Here's something that I agree with. I'm not going to look into it any further. It's probably legit. We're just going to roll with that. Yeah, you got to do better. Everyone's got to do better. It's too much riding on it.
Yeah, you got to do better, team. We all got to do. And I'm not. Look, I know I'm sounding a bit grumpy, but I'm saying this to everybody. We all got to do better.